Well, Niobe, I am so excited to have you here today.
I am very excited to be here with you, Shilpa. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's been months and months in the works of you and I finally getting a chance to record, but I knew months ahead that you'd be incredible for the topic of heart-centered awareness.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And to me, I totally believe in divine timing.
Yes.
Everything happens at its divine time. So it really is perfect to be here now with you and to talk about heart-centered awareness. Um, I mean, that's what, that's actually that's really what the basis of my work is I work mainly with women, but there's some men that have come in to work with me, but I work with women who something's knocking on their heart, something is talking with their soul, and they need to help get things cleared and out of the way so that they actually can come into the fullness of what their heart is calling them to do.
And I have always appreciated the evolution or growth that I see myself going through. And one of them is more recently having a deeper, more intuitive understanding of the heart chakra and
Mm,
how, as women, we serve one another, not only just women to women, women to men, in terms of opening that chakra and finding a level of peace. One of the things you had mentioned when we first connected months ago was I became aware that you play um, the bowls, the crystal bowls, correct?
mhm. Yes, yes,
And
yes.
before I hit record, you had mentioned something about how crystal bowls have a certain energy. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's the quartz crystal is a matching for our own crystalline nature, our own crystalline network that was in our cells cellularly as well as in our DNA. It is this divine match of this crystalline matrix that helps. I mean, that vibration is it comes in and out. It's like breathing. And so it's that relationship of the tones of the bowls and come into a place actually where as we release into the tones, I mean, it's one thing is I'm going to just kind of backtrack here a little bit. Sound plus intention equal change. And intention is everything. Who is providing the sound bath? What is their intention? And I mean, it can be an intention for, clearing and uplifting, or it can be an intention of clearing and just soothing, as in being a grounding and a softening type of experience. So, I mean, and it blossoms back and forth because literally the bowls do this. And so coming back to that about, so the bowls and their crystalline matrix match ours in our whole body, in our system.
And that's wonderful. Now, to backtrack a little bit, how did you get started in this journey? Because I know you had mentioned something in terms of kind of really picking up on the intuitively picking up on the vibration of sound, and that led you down this path.
Yes. I my life has always been on its way to being a healer. And I discovered healing by receiving a massage. Oh my goodness, back in the early 80s. And the next thing I stepped into was I studied massage and I practiced massage therapy for 15 years. And in the process of doing that, it was learning that we can come into being a sports massage. Injury treatment is what I worked with. But I also knew when I was in school that I was an emotional healer. I would pick up people's emotions and what's going on with them because it would just rise up during the session. And it was just a natural thing of knowing how to move them through that as they're literally bringing it up to release it out of their body. So as I went through continuing with massage, sound came to me after a spiritual awakening with my late partner. We were both in a session where a friend of ours was doing some energy work on me, but it affected my partner, it affected him as well. And so we both came out of that. He could see angels and energy that was just incredible. And in my massage work, the last 15 minutes of every massage was this thing of, oh my goodness, I felt like I needed to sound over this client. And we were also sharing light language. That had been activated between us through Tantra. And so finally I was with a client that I thought, okay, I think I can try this. I said, do you mind if I try something? She said, sure, go ahead. So I started to sound and I started to allow the light language to come out. And everything shifted from there on as far as my ability to see, feel, and hear the energy that was going on within and around her body, her chakras, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It was just profound. And I just kept going one client at a time, one more client at a time. And then so by 2008, that work had continued on to where I became familiar and I started knowing about quartz crystal singing bowls. And I was in a metaphysical bookstore in Seattle, and here were these quartz crystal singing bowls. And I picked one up and I sat down with it. I started to play it and I just wanted to cry. It was just immediate. I was like, oh, and that was the first bowl that came home with me.
Well, before we hit record, I was telling you that I've had this desire to learn about it as well. And I imagine there's this whole world of intuitive knowledge that comes along with one becoming quickly, I would say, skilled. So one of the things I'd love to learn a little bit more about is something I had not heard of, the concept of, you mentioned light, and what was the second part?
Language?
Yeah,
light language?
Yeah,
light language?
Yeah, so if you can share a little bit about that.
Light language, absolutely. It's, I mean, now you can find it on YouTube and the internet. I mean, this is something I wrote a post on Facebook about not too long ago. It's like when everything was opening and evolving for me, I didn't have the internet to turn to. I didn't have Facebook or YouTube. I had my closest metaphysical bookstore and maybe some friends that were of like mind and other healers. And then really what I had was really having to deepen in and listen, make that connection with my higher self and with the beloved, with Father, Mother, Spirit, and listen, into the guides that were coming in and showing me and revealing what was happening, and learning to really trust what was occurring for me. And the opening for me was, because when you have an opening occurring and all, you're like going, okay, is my cheese beginning to slip off my cracker here? Especially when you didn't have YouTube or anything to look for. So with the light language, as I said, the light language is a spiritual, energetic language. It has a piece of all languages within it. When I first was giving talks on it, I had two linguists in the audience, and they said, you have a piece of each language is in there. And so it has its own energy, it has its own dialect. And it's not a language of the mind, it is a language of the heart and of the soul. It is truly a light language of love. And it just like the bowls, this speaks to the energetic body, the spiritual, energetic, and physical body of who we are. And it's a conversation. For me, it's a conversation. And as I've worked with it through the years, I've come to a place where I mean, I speak in it, I sing in it, I heal with it. Um, Being able to be in nature by myself, um, I just hear these melodies of from the trees down to the lower to the lower flora around me. And then working with it, there's a healing factor, but then there started to be a reading part that opened up for me, which is I call them melody readings or a slow soul reflection reading. As I mean, I can work distance with somebody, I can work here like we are, or in person is just really a joy. But I'm able to hear an individual's melody, your soul song, as I start to speak in the language and sing in it. I start to receive pictures and understanding of who you are as this soul in this earthly body. And I see how other people perceive you, how you make a difference to other people's lives just by being who you are, and how important it is that you're here, that you are exactly the way you are. And it's just so easy. It's just so easy in our very in our very harsh world that is becoming harsher. And men have their challenges with it, and women, we have consistently for generations and generations and generations had that challenge of our worth, our value. And this is where working with women in this way is it is so fulfilling and so rewarding to witness a woman come into that of who she is, that, like you said, that heart-centered mindfulness, that heart-centered awareness of this is really me, as she just she sloughs off and she sheds shame that has just been layer after layer after layer put on her. And the women that I have worked extensively with, it's just, there is, my goodness, there is hard to describe the joy and that I have, and the satisfaction of just being able, this is the work I do, and to be able to just see them blossom and soar.
It feels like you've been given this innate, incredible gift. And I imagine it also helps you with your own healing. You had mentioned some of the transitions you've been going through. I wonder if it gives you a different perspective than, say, someone who is void of some of those spirituality tools and techniques to navigate these times.
Well, yes, and that's it. It's and I think more and more people are seeking and really needing tools, to keep me grounded, get me back in my body, and let me know that that it's okay. Because as I was speaking with you earlier, there's been some deep transitions have happened in my life of losing the final sibling in my family, and all my family's gone in November. And then because, and here's the thing, okay, there can be loss and sadness, and tragedy has its deep effect upon our energetic body and our heart and our whole physicalness. But so does really good things, new beginnings, having having to get, getting the job or getting the brand new home, which is happening, for me. I'm doing some work that it was like came out of nowhere. The home, very beautiful brand new home, came out of nowhere. And And this along with loss. And then recently I lost my beloved, four-legged best friend, my cat Serena. She was 18. She was a little over 18 years old. And it was time. But she's been my best fur friend. She's been my familiar. She was such an energetic healer herself. She would, with clients, she would get on the table, she would get on their tummy, she would get underneath the table. Or if I was doing soul readings, so we're sitting at a table, she's like, she had to have her own seat there. And when I would be doing offering meditations when I'm with a Light and World Network, there she was. So she was my profound friend. So back to what I was saying is, these life experiences that we've all been having they are at Mach 10. They are at a 10 plus in stress. And everybody's going through this in one way, shape, or form at one time or another. And like I said, joyful things can be stressful too. So it's been, for me, there is a meditation, there is a sound meditation that was downloaded to me a couple of years ago. And I've been using that. I was actually going to give a free class on it on Facebook next week. And I was like going, I need to be using it on myself first. Literally the last thing I need to be doing is to be teaching this class. And as I'm doing this, it breaks something open in me. And and that I need to work on privately versus in an online class experience. So I've delayed the class, but I'm using this. It's a simple sound meditation practice. And it helps me, and it's helped people you tap into what's going on with yourself. Am I grounded? Am I connected to the heavens? What's going on with my heart? Am I feeling? So that's that. I know I will be able, I'll bring that around in May.
So do you have some sound healer that you can go to? So you can conserve that energy.
Oh my goodness. It's been a while since I've had actually I do have a sound healer. Give you a plug here, Penny. Her name is Dr. Penny Burdick, and she's a retired physician who is a wonderful energy practitioner, but she uses the Tibetan bowls. She's been called to use the Tibetan bowls, and she is wonderful and quite gifted with that. So that's, yes, I do have my own practitioner that I go to. Yes. Yep, she has she has a set from a small bowl to quite large that all work with your chakras. Yes.
Yeah, I've only played that bowl, just sort of intuitively trying to learn. But what's interesting about my Tibetan bowl is my son, when he hears me recording and playing with it, he'll sit next to me and he's like, well, can I play with it? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. And honestly, he's 100% better at it than I am. He'll get the vibration going, and it'll just be resonating out of my meditation office.
Ooh.
He's just intuitive about this. So I imagine he's probably vibrating at a better level than I am.
Well, he's a child. How old is he?
When he started play, it was 7 to 8. Now he's 10.
Okay. Yeah. They have, as children, we don't have, majority, we don't have all the world on our shoulders.
Yeah.
like we do once we're all grown up.
Yeah. And that's why I insist, even though he doesn't realize I'm doing this, that I navigate the path with him in terms of tools, so that when things arise, he knows that it's time to breathe more deeply into that, or meditate, or bring the focus back to the spiritual. I'm trying to just weave that into his lifestyle.
Oh, and you have, oh my goodness, Shobha, that's beautiful. That is going to bring him, I mean, that tool, when we can say it's a simple tool, but it's a powerful one that you are teaching him.
Yeah.
And as he uses that, he is going to have a knowingness and a consciousness of himself.
He does. Like, he's so innately kind, not to go off on a tangent, but he even sees the spiritual eye like it's nothing. He'll be like, oh yeah, I see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there he is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
It will
will,
serve him well.
going back to the doctor you mentioned before we hit record, you started down this fascinating story about a doctor who was using the
Crystal bowls.
crystal bowls. I would love for the audience to learn about that, because I always try to back things up scientifically, or at least with those who are in that field, who are now accepting what might have once been considered too esoteric.
Exactly. Yes. And that's what's beautiful about this is, what was considered too esoteric is now science is backing up. There's so much science that is backing up about the power of sound and about the vibration and what the different hertz and everything like that, megahertz and all work and do. The physician I was talking about, he's passed on. His name was Dr. Mitchell Gaynor. And I think the title of his book was Sounds True. Anyway, Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, he was an oncologist in New York, and he had a cancer treatment center that patients were referred to him that other physicians had, they basically given up on them and said, we can't do anything for you. So they would, refer them over to Dr. Gaynor's treatment center. They would come in and they would meet with him, and he would send them out and they would meet with their chemotherapy, with the chemotherapy infusion person, their person for radiation, dietary, everything like that. Then they would come back and he would sit them down with a quartz crystal singing bowl. And in the book, it's powerful of how working with a bowl, as well as with, all these modern healing modalities, but working with the quartz crystal singing bowl, people that were told that they were not going to live, not only lived, but they thrived after that. So the other thing about him was he was the scientific mind, scientific mind as a physician, but he had also taken his studies and he had traveled the world learning about indigenous healing therapies, healing work, going in shamanism everywhere. So he brought that together. So he had an awareness of sound and the power of it to heal that he brought to his clinic. I don't know if his clinic is still going. I haven't followed up on that. But like you said, I needed some science to back up what I was doing, especially as I was coming out with this. I was coming out with this in 95, 98, and in 2000s in a small Washington town that had a very, very, religious base to it. And so it was one thing to be a massage therapist. It was another thing to be this woo-woo woman doing sound and this light language stuff. So I had to watch it. I had kids in public school at the time. It's like, okay. The other scientific, because there's been so many gifted healers and energy workers that have written. But when I went seeking for some understanding about visually what I was seeing, the chakra system, everything like that, is Barbara Brennan, Hands of Light, and her second book, Light Emerging. She had been she had worked for NASA. Don't get me wrong, I don't know if she was a physicist, but she had worked for NASA and came out of that world and went into the therapy healing world. And she started noticing she was seeing people's auras. She was seeing their energy fields. And that's what took her down the road into the Barbara Brennan healing method, energy work, that I think is still going on today.
It's funny, like, just if you had asked me just a few years ago, my reaction to things that are considered or used to be considered more woohoo, I would have been one of them, like, but not negative, but I would have been like, can I align with that, given that my background is so scientific? And what's interesting is, so I made it a mission this year that every topic I pick that I'll eventually write a course or do a workshop on, I would go deep into it each month. And so I created the Science of Spirituality series, and I go deep into things like this month, last month I released The Power of Mantras and the science of mantras and the vibrational power of the sound of Om. So like, and so each month I pick one, I go super deep. This month it's about grounding the energy from the earth. And if you had asked me would I be walking in my backyard every morning, I would have said no. Now I walk in my backyard for 20 minutes and I feel different. I feel healed.
The power of the earth under your feet. Yeah.
Power of the earth under my feet. And it's just changed me. I feel like I'll be even a different person a year from now. But just listening to you, I feel like I'm definitely going to connect with you more, because some of the concepts you mentioned I want to learn more about. But I'm also truly enjoying the fact that you took it from having like almost like a kinesthetic understanding of the body, and you opened that channel for divine guidance, and it came to you. So you now have this multimodality ability to heal.
Yes. 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 And then it and then it just it turned into, and then it took a turn, and I was like, well, this was really unexpected. A beloved friend of mine, another healer friend of mine, he says, we did a workshop together. He says, Niobe, he says, you need a CD. So he found this producer and found this recording recording studio on the peninsula, and I was like, okay. And we went in there, and I thought I was going to come out with some nice, Om chanting, little Om. I came out of there with a CD of songs. 7 of the melodies were mine. 7 of them were with the producer, guitar player, and some of them were all light language. Some of them were, English and light language. But there was this whole spiritual CD came out of me, and so now here we are, all these years later, and it took me starting to sing and share these songs, and that with different church communities, Unities, Center for Spiritual Living. When the bowls came in, the next thing I know, we're doing kirtans. I'm the one who's booking this, and we're doing kirtans and chanting events with the bowls. And then the next I was asked, well, could you please speak? So I started doing spiritual speaking and uplifting speaking. And I got the opportunity to find out if I really wanted to be a minister, a unity minister. And I went to the Unity of Hawaii on Oahu. It was to be there for a year and study. And in 5 months, I knew that I was not meant to be specifically a minister under a roof. But I have my ministry, I have my community, and now I'm seeing how all of it all of it builds together into um into one offering. I guess I call it it's it's my form of church, but it's not really church, but I'm really excited, Shilpa. I've got a community. I'm bringing all of this together in a community. And so I'll keep you posted on that. But it's like, woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning the other morning. It's like, this is how it all weaves together. None of it is separate. All of it is together. So I have a lot of work to do.
Well, I want to hear about how the community ties in with the modality of light language and with your practice of the crystal bowls, because I'm definitely going to follow you and I definitely want to continually hear more, but I just find it all very exciting for you as well.
I found that it's like, because it was like, okay, how does all this fit together? And I mean, literally, there was a woman, she says, Niobe, she says, you could take one song and you can build a whole workshop out of it. And it was like, my goodness. And so the way it's being revealed to me is that there will be the opportunities for right now on the second Saturdays of the month, I'm offering live a sacred sound healing circle with my bowls. And so there's going to be work with bowls in that sense. And like I said, and then I'm going to have this free class that's around the sounding practice, sound medicine. So between the bowls, classes, master classes, and then offerings, being able to work one-on-one or group working. But then also it's just going to be, and there's also going to be, okay, fine. And then there will be light language. There's going to be light language transmissions and light language transmissions, meditations. We will work with the moons, and the Wheel of the Year, which is something that was a part of my own personal healing journey that was really very profound for me, because we are very connected. We are part of this planet, this earth that has its seasons, and connected with the sun and the moon and the stars. So it's right now I'm in that place of structure. But I'm starting one little thing at a time.
One thing at a time and building on it. And like I said, I really genuinely believe that your own healing is occurring with you also healing others, almost like a karmic gift back to you, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And for me, there was way back, this was a thing. I think it was even when I was just starting massage, was this healer, heal thyself. Because you have to be in integrity and in a consciousness of where you're at.
Yes.
Before you walk into a session to work with somebody, you don't bring your stuff in with you.
Well, sorry, keep going.
So yeah, you don't bring your stuff in with you. And this is why I canceled doing this class, is because I'm working through some mourning and grieving. But healer, heal thyself is such a powerful but simple words of wisdom. And if you're in a position to where you still have to do a presentation, you still have to walk in, you work on taking care of yourself, grounding, energy work, getting yourself, your chakras, your energy field as balanced as you possibly can. But when you walk out on that presentation stage, or you walk into that group for healing or one-on-one healing work, you leave your stuff outside and you really come into that place of healer, being present for where you're at and who you're with.
And there's such wisdom in what you were saying earlier, that recognizing that you needed to take time before you expanded in May to teaching that class to pause. And there's nothing wrong with that. While I'm well versed now, more than perhaps just a few years ago on modalities, it's only now, and I'm 50 something now, that I'm now more keen or tuned into listening and becoming aware of where I'm at emotionally, psychologically, and where I'm feeling it. I can't believe it's taken me this long to get there.
Oh, but I want you to stop. But here's the thing though, Shilpa, you're there. I want, celebrate that. And because this is such a journey of, we can, I think, we develop and we pull back. It's kind of like, it's like breathing in our lungs, because we're in this humanness, we're in this human journey. And I celebrate you that you started the path. Something awakened and said, I need to go down this path. And I can look at myself and say, oh, wow, if I, coulda, shoulda, woulda, when, everything was beginning to pop up online with healing and everything like that, because, crystal bowls are now everywhere, light languages everywhere. But everything has its time. And there's how many billion of us on the planet? So we all do timely, divine timing of what we're here to do.
And I wonder if you've experienced this, that once you've put your intention into it, which everything starts with the intention, and then you put your desire and willpower or action into it, I've noticed that there's a level of acceleration that's occurred in my growth.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Like you just said, intention is everything, because the universe listens to that. When we look at a raindrop go in a puddle, in this energetic matrix, what we are in, literally what we're thinking goes out there. This home, I created this home over a year ago. I created over a year ago. And then when with the job that I was in, it was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be able to live close by? And I got to live close by. So I find, for me, the magic words seem to be, wouldn't it be nice? Or I would love. And the universe listens. There's something come through and I'm holding it back. But yes.
Would you like to get some water?
I've got some water. And if you wouldn't mind, I just on the mawani iona maya tomaya iona maya nayamaya继续不下面讲，这些可以说一下的呢。哈，可得了，可以休息一下。When the light of the beloved dawns and awakens within your mind, within your heart, and your soul starts to sing and sound to you, allow it to flow. Listen closely. Listen closely. Listen closely and find a way to come into that oneness of acceptance and trust. And the word care comes. And the first thing is caring. Care about yourself. Love yourself. And listen to where you're being called. If it's standing out in the trees, if it's standing in the ocean as the waves are crashing upon you, if it's standing and looking at the sunlight on your child's hair, just start to follow what you're hearing and walk that path. So sometimes that's what this is I'm not allowing something to come out. There we go. We're good.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I've never heard that before. Light language, but your voice is incredible.
Thank you. That is my main tool for healing, is my voice.
And the message you sent, I don't know if it was necessarily for me, but it felt like it was for me. It was beautiful.
For you, and then someone else is going to connect with them.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
What an honor. Wow. Well, we're almost wrapping up. I have like a billion questions more.
Okay.
In my show notes, I'll include how people can find you, learn more about your music. Is there a way we can listen to your music and other things that you've produced?
There is, on my website, which is niobeweaver.com. I have 3 of my CDs are on there. There's the first one that I ever is Language of Light. And then there is Sacred Power, which is a journey through the chakras. And it's a sounding through the chakras. And then there's Soul Light. And that is all singing bowls and light language. There's light language in all of them. And but the Soul Light is the one that is really based on someone from birth through to when we release ourselves from this world. It's the journey of the soul from birth to rebirth.
Wow, I'm just so honored that you were able to say yes to me. Would it be okay if you just, I don't know what the limit is, but could you do like a 3-minute session with me here? Or does it not work like that?
No, that could be fine. Yeah, so a 3-minute session. Okay. 意思不起写的，是的，是的，是的，I don't know if it is specifically because we are in this session right now, but your heart is and on fire. So, so, all right, let me just have a look. The light bearer that you are, as you walk in your world, You are so incredible. It always says, you are so kind. You are so incredibly, beautifully walking kindness. 一个波那么，一个波阿里。 I mean, your energy field, your soul sounding out into this universe is like this light that is you, that you are walking every day in and around, that you have an effect. You have an effect on, when it's like if you're walking through Disneyland, you have an effect on people because it just sweeps through their energy field. Do you have, are you known, or have you experienced, have people tell you about how you are helpful, about how you're able to calm people down?
I've been told I'm calm, but it's so funny because I have to work really hard on it. Like I said, I'm constantly accelerating my spiritual growth. But if you
Mhm.
had seen me a year ago, you would have been like, oh, she's calmer now. So it keeps improving.
Well, so this is a reflection of what you're doing. And it's really powerful. I mean, you're really doing the work. So this is I'm wanting you to lift your awareness up, that you've done a lot more. You have accomplished. You are a lot more than you are giving yourself awareness and credit for, because you have this ability of calmness that can fill a room. So calm, but in kindness too. She is so kind. You're really thoughtful about other people. Be careful with that. Be careful with that, because it's and if people watch this says, oh, that's so ominous. Balance and boundaries. We have to watch balance and boundaries. So when be watchful on that and careful with that, because it's unfortunate, but there are others in those, and when they see somebody else having qualities that they wish they had, they will, they will come into a place of where they will behave or or create some kind of an action towards you, because you have something they wish they had. Does that make sense?
My entire corporate life, I would run into women who I felt, and again, I don't have any necessarily pure data, but my husband was the witness, that would feel threatened. And I always would be like, but I'm just trying to do my job. I'm not there to hurt anybody, just here to do my job.
Some women just can't take it. They
Oh.
can't take it because there's an envy and a jealousy that happens there. It's threatening. And when we don't realize and we don't know, that is where that's where it sounds like, it's happened a lot for you in your life and in your career, and what the reflection to you now is about, to embrace that amazing power that you are, of kindness and calm, and there's another part that goes with that. It's called grounded. For someone to be able to express and have this energy of kindness and calm, there is a groundedness that's there. You can't be all flighty and everything and flying off in the ethers and be that genuine kindness and calm. So it's what's coming through is that I want you to celebrate this in you, because really also this work you've been doing this past year of calm has exponentially really done some, grown and be more than you think you have. Okay. Yeah.
That
And
resonates with me.
and then just I want you to ground into that. I want you to just celebrate that. I want you to look in the mirror. And so I do mirror work with women too. I have a meditation. I have a meditation on women working with yourself in the mirror. I want you to do some mirror work at this. And in that, I want you to just look in the mirror, and I want you to smile. And I want you to, and the word that comes out is sparkle.
I love that.
Just sparkle.
My gosh, this was incredible, Niobe. I could talk to you for hours.
And I have a gift. I have a gift for your people, for your podcast people.
Yeah.
There is on my website is it's a free discovery call. I want you to just go ahead and sign up for that. And because then I would like to be able to give people a 30-minute time with me.
Wonderful. Well, I will include that information also in the show notes.
Okay.
In addition to the link to your music and your website. And
Yes.
Niobe, I am so appreciative of your energy, your talent, and just your presence. I know it's been a rough period, but I feel nothing but good things are coming your way.
I do too. Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa, so much. I have absolutely adored being here. I look forward to having more time with you.
I do as well. Have a really wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too, dear. Okay.